the old say. If you are a guy that thinks you change into a woman, I got news for you. You're still a male. You can do all the surgery you want, but your insides and your hormones still say that you're a guy. In fact, you got to take hormones to try to make you a girl, and that still doesn't work. You're still a guy. And the same thing with girls that think that they're guys. You're still a girl. But be that as that's not being very accepting. Accepting my butt. You can put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. You can put boobies on a guy, and it's still a guy. Just saying. But, so I always want to know if, who were they beforehand? Especially, the guys turning into women. Well, not all, I'll admit, not all. But most of these transgenders that transgend from male to female, they still look like a guy. They have the facial structure and bone structure of a male. And you can look at them and say, boy, that's kind of a masculine looking woman. Well, that's because she was a he before. Okay. But they're still a he. They may run around and there was I saw what was the program? Oh, you know what it was a few years ago. Oh, it was who was the Fab Five? That's what they're called. The five gay guys. Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Well, there was an episode of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy that wasn't for the straight guy. It was Queer Eye for the transgendered. Anyway, it was a girl that was now taking hormones and trying to live as a guy. And the hormones, were giving her facial hair and she was going to the gym and building muscle. But she still had her boobs. But she would wear clothing and stuff that would compress her boobs down so they wouldn't poke out. So she looked like a muscular guy. But I guess they kind of shrunk on her. I don't know. But she was still a girl, even though she was taking hormones to grow facial hair. Because if she stopped taking the hormones, she wouldn't be as hairy. Because she wasn't hairy as when she was a little girl. And she was living with another transgendered guy named Austin, another tiny little woman, and she still looked like well, I'm supposed to say he, but she still looks like a girl. She looks, just a short haircut. But Austin is her name now. I think her real name was Angela or something, but I don't know. This other I don't know the name. Millie. For some reason, it reminds me of a dog's name. Millie, I think, was her name or his name or what have you. But anyway, it's still a guy. It's still a girl. They're not guys. But I'm watching this thinking, who were they before they were guys? So I don't know why anybody would not ask the question. I'm not, I'm not going to say that I'm so brilliant as to come up with this kind of that nobody should think of this question but me. But I think everybody, you look at a transgender and you have to, the natural question is, okay, what was her name before they were a girl? What do he look like as a guy? And if it's the vice versa, you always, if you're a guy, if you're a guy, you're really asking, well, what did she look like before she became a guy? We're always curious. So nobody bothered to ask hey, who were you before? Let's check out this Barry. It's only 4 years ago. But Lawton didn't think it was necessary to tell the people that she was asking to elect her. So she says, I didn't feel it was necessary to tell constituents, but I felt like if it came to light, which it has now, I was going to be honest. That's what she told the Nashua Patch after the story broke. And I was prepared for it to come out during the campaign. I didn't want to step down. I want to serve the people. That's all I've ever. You're a convicted felon, and your conviction is for fraud. And what is credit card fraud? Credit card fraud is basically pretending to be somebody else, pretending to be somebody that you're not. And isn't this apropos? He pled guilty and was convicted of credit card fraud, pretending to be somebody that he was not, and now he's pretending to be somebody that he wasn't born to be. But all he wants to do is serve the public. And this is in New Hampshire, folks. Again, if this were a Republican, oh man, you would not hear the end of this. You wouldn't. It's unbelievable. Hey, like I said in the last segment, government isn't about helping you. I can guarantee you that this person was not trying to get elected. What was the Eddie Murphy movie? Distinguished Gentleman, right? When Eddie Murphy thought he could pull the greatest con job, Eddie Murphy's character thought he could pull the greatest con job ever. If you've never seen the movie, just rent it. Get it from Netflix or it's probably not in Redbox, but get it from Netflix or Blockbuster. They got it. It is pretty funny, but there is the similar. It looks like it could be a documentary of somebody currently serving in Washington D.C. because that's how blatantly accurate it is. It really is. It's a hilarious movie. I found it hilarious, but it's hilarious simply because there's so much truth to all that comedy that's in there. And that's the key to good comedy. There's got to be a little bit of smidgen of truth to make it funny. That's why it's funny, because there's some truth to it. But the Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy, the whole damn movie is just so truthful, which makes it hilarious. But after you get done laughing about it, you realize that it absolutely is true, so then you want to cry. But that's Washington, D.C. So this person, like Eddie Murphy's character in that movie, not into it for helping the constituency. It's what's in it for them. So you got to ask, what's in it for Mr./Mrs. Lawton here, or Miss Lawton? Just unbelievable. This is the kind of stuff that we I don't know, folks. It's not good business. And let's face it, politics is, I was going to say politics is a non-profit business. No, but it's very profitable to be in politics. Politics is a form of business. And you need to understand that. And that most of these people get into politics at one level or another, for themselves, and that it has nothing to do with the constituency. At least not to the point where, they'll help the constituency a little bit, throw them a bone or a little bone here and there. But whatever. Here's something from WND.com, WorldNet Daily. Santorum says treaty threatens U.S. sovereignty. Former Senator Rick Santorum, a former GOP presidential candidate and the father of a handicapped child, joined Senator Mike Lee, a Republican of Utah, in denouncing the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, saying it would open a Pandora's box of legal interpretations resulting in a direct assault on us and our families. Now, father of a handicapped child, Rick, we know, because Santorum, there are some issues during the campaign that he put us, there's a time that he quickly suspended his presidential bid for his child. Now, in a press conference on Capitol Hill earlier this week, both Santorum and Senator Lee said Articles 4 and 7 of the convention, which reference the rights of disabled children represents a threat to both national sovereignty and the rights of families to make decisions on how to raise their own kids. Now, our concerns, I wonder if China would go along with this. By the way, China's considering changing its one child per family rule. There's 1.35 billion Chinese on the planet right now. And now the Chinese are thinking that they need to change because their population is aging because, they've had this one child policy but it hasn't stopped their population growth. It's still exploding, but they're because of the age of the population, and as well as because they have too many males. And if they think that if a family is allowed to have 2 kids, they will stop aborting the females. I told you this. I told you they were going to run into problems with having nothing but males over there. But in any event, hey, if you want to be, what's his name, Clash, the Elmo creator and former voice of Elmo, with all those males over there, the young males, it might be good time to move to China. Just saying, if you like that kind of thing. In any event, our concern, there's another, a third or fourth kid who's now not a kid came forward again. And this after the first one that accused him dropped the charges or whatever. And now we're going to have it's going to be like, the Catholic priest thing. You're going to have all these people all of a sudden, one at a time, coming out of the woodwork. Now, anybody, if you haven't seen the documentary Being Elmo, they have it on Netflix. I saw it about 2 months ago, back in the summer, before all this stuff started to come out about Clash and being gay and things like that. But I said, I know he's got kids. He was married to a woman, he's got kids, but he seems a little light in the loafers. But fine. That's okay. But now it's coming out that maybe he was fooling around with some teenage boys. And as I have said in this program before, boys are under, your son is under attack daily, folks. If you have a son, boys are under attack by, homosexual men. And as we have learned over the past few years, by straight women. Boys as young as 10, their teachers have been, female teachers have been messing with them and having sex with them and all that kind of. We know this because, these teachers are being convicted left and right. There's got to be one a week being arrested. It's what it seems like. Boys are under far more so than girls, and boys are sexually abused like 3-to-1 to girls. These are also statistics. I mean, you gotta really watch your son. I hate to say it, but you really do. Especially if you have a good-looking kid, or if he's into sports and he's well defined and he's well toned. All that, it's scary. All I could say if somebody messed with my sons, man, they'd be lucky to make it to court. But really, and I know there are a lot of dads out there that feel like that. But this is what's happening, folks. This is what. But we're supposed to be able, we're supposed to push all that aside and listen to all these liberal nut jobs that, we don't want Christianity or Christian morals and ethics to be the centerpiece of our civilization. Are you kidding me? Even with it trying to be the center of our morals in this country, we're still doing evil and depraved things. And you want to get rid of what little moral compass we have so more evil and depraved things can happen to our kids? And you want to allow the UN to start dictating some stuff? Now, I know y'all must be crazy.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal: